This podcast is for educational purposes only. Options Geek LLC is not a broker dealer. Options Geek LLC and Felix Fry are not registered investment advisors. Options involve substantial risk and are not suitable for everyone. Please consult your own investment advisor before doing any trading. Make sure you read the full disclaimer at the end of this episode. There's been some upside flow in Tesla over the last few weeks. They've been very specific, coming in almost every other day. The target stock price is really high. So let's take a look and see if it can get there. So we land here on the home page. Again, 100 results. We're going to take out the spreads for right now, greater than 2 weeks. We're going to click on the side to get just the above ask and ask. We are going to look here and see CCL, Apple, Tesla. Here you go, Tesla 300 calls. You can see the open interest is 40,000. This is interesting just because I've seen them come in here. So I'm going to click on Tesla. There's a lot of options here, but this is weekly. I'm just going to click on here to get the other side, the longer dated options, to see what we see. There's January 19, 2024, 300 calls, 18,500 on the tape. Here are the prints, the larger prints, the block trades. We could sort by expiration here and get these 300 calls. You see them there. You see above ask, above ask, above ask, ask, and this one is bid side. So what time is that? 9:39. We'll take a look at that. I will look to see the sequence in chronological order, and I get January 24th, 300 calls. First paid 1546 above the ask with the stock of 251.35. Volatility was up. That's a good sign that there's a buyer. 938.26. Okay, 939.09. Okay, looks like the same guy here. He then goes in and this says bid here, but you see that he pays higher, 1550, and the stock is actually lower, 15 cents. So he pays more for the calls with the stock lower. So what does that mean? Implied volatility, you see, goes up 49.0 versus 48.8. So he is paying higher in vol, which is why this is really, he's just on the bid. So if you're looking, this is a classic case where if you're looking at just what the computer spits out, did it trade on the bid or the offer, and determine whether it was a buy or a sell just on what it says, you can get the wrong signal. In this case, bid side is also a buyer. He is also a buyer. He bought it a second before, and he's paying up here, and he continues to pay up at 943, 944, 946. So these are all buys. Okay. I have seen this guy before in the last few weeks. Let's take a look at the open interest. I click on this cell, and here he is. So you're looking at, let's say, August 9th, August 8th, 9th, 10th. You're about 27,500 open interest. Now you're in the 40s, and today there looks like 18,000 more have come in. I suspect they're buyers. I suspect that this will show up tomorrow as something close to 55, 60,000. And why are they buying these? That's the next question. Why are they buying these? So we go to Tesla new options chain. I'm going to go to January, click on January, and I get the 300 calls right here, 300 calls in Tesla. Notice it is in the unshaded area, which is where the top guys in the world buy options. So he's here, 18,500, 300 calls. The RR dollar is 362.82, 362.82. He paid around 15 and a half. So let's call it somewhere between 361, 364. That's where that RR dollar was. And the question is, what target stock price would get us there? Remember, this is a risk reward break even price. So you don't buy these at 1690 if you think it's going to go to 362.80. You have to think it's going to go above 362.80. This is consider this the over underline, just like the football over under. Are the teams going to score more than X number of points? Well, that's what this is saying. Is Tesla going to be above 362 and a half? If it is, there's some edge here. Is it enough to take the trade? We'll see. So we need a number higher than that. I just look at eyeball, and I'm going to say 385, and the pointer gets right there. So I took a little bit of room above where that the RR dollars come off to 360 as the stock is a little bit lower. So let's call it 360. 385 is my target. The pointer lands right there. So I've backed out. I've now backed out what this guy is thinking around the range he's thinking. Let's call it 380 to 390 is where he's thinking. Now the question is, can we get there? Can we get there? Can we get Tesla to 385, 390? Here's your Tesla chart. And I'm just going to throw this line out here for a second, which is exactly 385. Go figure. We're going to put this as blue. We're going to then take this and say this is our target, right? This is what we're looking at. Right around there happens to be the high back in April, right here, the high back in April of 2022. Now, let's do something else because I see something else here, and I'm going to look at 1, 2, third wave, fourth wave, and looks like a classic 5-point Elliott wave. Now, the fifth wave is usually above the third wave, so we give it a little bit of room there. Let's just say that much. And if we add it to, let's see, the bottom is going to be here, right? 212. So I'm just going to move it to keep it on the page. And it's actually perfect. It's actually perfect. Okay, so one more thing I'm going to put here. Take this out. I want to be precise. So usually in a 5-point wave, the fourth wave doesn't go through, but this is a $200 stock. It's volatile. I'm going to give it some leeway here. But if you see that it's 1 wave, 2 wave, 3 waves, 4 waves, and this is the 5th wave, I just moved it over here, and let me put it exactly on that line. We get to about 385, 390, right where we're supposed to be. And remember, we took the liberty to make the wave a little bit bigger. So there you have it, 385. You get it on a 5-point Elliott wave. It's also the high of April 2022, and someone is buying a significant amount of calls at the 300 strike, pointing to that 385. Now, one thing you got to think about is 385 is a 50% move. 385, 390, 55, 50, call 50 to 60% move they're looking for in Tesla. What does the market look like if Tesla is ramping up 50, 60%? You got to think about that. Like, where are other stocks? You know, one thing I'm looking at is the competition here is General Motors looks awful, okay? But it's at the lower band here. And Ford also looks awful. Below the 50, below the 200, 10 is the low here, 9.5, 10, but you got this range, kind of trying to make a higher low, higher low, higher low, but this doesn't look very good. And again, the GM higher range would be in the low 40s. This is hovering over this 30, 31 range, not looking so good as well. But if Tesla's up 50%, I got to believe that just because they're EV makers, that these stocks will get some pull a little bit higher, even though Tesla's up because they're probably beating the pants out of GM and Ford by lowering these prices and squeezing GM and Ford. Anyways, that's what I got. The January 2024 Tesla 300 calls being bought in decent size over the last few weeks, pointing to 385. And we showed you here how do you get that 385 in Tesla. Don't forget to smash that like button, comment, ask questions, and I'll see you tomorrow.